Welcome to the BNB Investing Podcast for real estate investors. Fix and flippers and realtors exploring investment options with Airbnbs and short-term rentals through acquisition, leasing, or management to generate consistent monthly revenue. Join us for a chat with experienced and successful short-term rental investors to hear their story of how they got started and created wealth by building scalable businesses. We also explore various service providers and lenders that help make our businesses more efficient and maximize revenue in this awesome sharing economy. Welcome your host, Rich Monroe.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Monroe with BNB Investing Group. Thanks for jumping on this Thursday. As a reminder, BNB Investing Group is kind of helping investors navigate the short-term rental model. And whether you're trying to do acquisitions, to buy properties, to do short-term rentals, to master leasing with rental arbitrage, or managing other people's properties, any one of those models here, we try to kind of look at all the different nuances of each and kind of figure out best practices and share a lot of integration tools. And so today I've got a good friend of mine that's dialing in here from San Juan, Puerto Rico today. And his name is Juan Miguel. And Juan and I have spent some time together over the years, both participating on some panels at some of the conferences. And I had the pleasure as well of visiting down in San Juan. He hosted me and took me out to dinner at one of the local spots, which was great. So Juan, I'm looking forward to catching up with you. Thanks for jumping on today. If you'd give everyone a brief overview of your background and your experience, and we can kind of jump in.
Yeah. Nice to see you, Rich. The last time you were here was like, 6 months ago, I think, for that conference.
Yeah, last November. Yeah, that's right.
Last November. Okay, yeah. So my name is Juan Miguel. I'm the CEO of Otium Rentals. We're a tech-enabled short-term rental company based in Puerto Rico. Currently manage about 34 properties, and we got a few more coming online. Most of them are in the San Juan area. I landed here, been short-term rentals for about maybe 6 to 8 years, different capacities. I was doing revenue management for short-term rentals for other big companies in the space. And this is how I got here. Invested in my first short-term rental right like 6-7 years ago. It was a offsite location. I was running it from afar, so that kind of teach me how to do something from remotely, which is pretty interesting. I like it to be a little bit closer. You got more control over the situation. Based in Puerto Rico, 34 properties. We own some of them and manage some of them as well. So it's a hybrid between all the three models, right? Really, some property we like to own, some properties we like to rent arbitrage, others we like to manage. So
that's very much like our business as well. I like the diversity, because you can basically put everything through the same back office operation, whether you're doing any of those three models. So it's kind of a good, efficient way to do it. For those of you guys that are jumping on, please shoot a quick yes in the comments if you can hear us okay. I just want to make sure we've got the right connections. So Juan, let's back up a minute. So before you got started with the short-term rental, working on properties, you were in revenue management. And so for those of us that are kind of fairly new to the space, revenue management, from my perspective, I think is one of the most important things as an owner operator you need to understand and have that functionality when you go live with your listings. So tell us a little bit about kind of what, from your perspective, break it down for us. What is revenue management? How does it help? What does it do? And a little bit about what your experience was with doing it for other companies.
Definitely. Revenue management, right, is the art and science of maximizing revenue, right? So you have your data, and based on that data and how you look at that data, your analytics, you can see where there pockets of strong demand, pockets of low demand. So based on that data, you will optimize your rates, because it's not the same thing as staying in San Juan on a Friday night than staying in San Juan on a Monday night. They're different, demand patterns, so prices would be a little bit different. So it's an art and science, right? It's a science because there's data involved, analytics, and you need to slice and dice the data. But then the art comes into play because it is at the end of the day, you're you know putting yourself, you're just giving out a educated guess at what you think that rate should be based on that. So it is important, like Rich said, because that's it is important to maximize revenue, right? So you want to make sure that you balance your ADR, your occupancy, to achieve the highest RevPAR possible. This got invented by the airlines, and pretty much it's based on supply and demand. So and you can apply it to pretty much any industry. It's airlines created it, hotels do it, short-term rentals. Obviously, a lot of people do it. There's some software out there that helps you, right? Kind of set rates and gives you a ballpark. So, very important discipline. I always said this business is real estate, marketing, and revenue management. If you get those three right, you're probably gonna get nice bookings and stay booked and perform, really well. So, revenue management being that third pillar right there, it's a very important, aspect to have in this type of business.
Right. And it's also referred to as kind of dynamic pricing as
Sure.
well. And there's a lot of industries that have adopted it over the years, like Ticketmaster, for example, with the whole Taylor Swift debacle. Where they start selling tickets, and all of a sudden the price is going up because of the demand. And even long-term rentals now are using dynamic pricing. So the pricing for a long-term rental can change hour by hour, depending on when a long-term tenant is inquiring. So it's kind of across the board, I think. Is being used to kind of maximize revenue from a business perspective, which makes perfect sense. So were you doing it for hotels in the beginning, or specifically for short-term rentals?
No, well, actually, I started in revenue management at Delta Airlines. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I got done with college, and I was, more than 12 years ago or something right now. So my first job was at Delta Airlines, and I did revenue management over there. And it was a blessing because, airlines invented revenue management, specifically American Airlines in 1970s after deregulations. But if you work for any for the three big airlines, Delta, United, or American, you're gonna get a really good revenue management school. Because they put you through all the math work behind it and some things that you really need to know. But you learn a lot of the dynamics of supply and demand and how it works and how airline pricing works, which then this discipline, like I said, it's been applied to pretty a bunch of industries. Even the Gap and Banana Republic do it. They manage their pricing based on the items they have in each different store, based on city, zip code, etc. Uh, so I started out, moved up to Virgin after that, Virgin American, San Francisco, revenue management over there, and then moved into FlightCar, which was an Airbnb for cars. Startup revenue management as well. So I've been in revenue management my entire career. Fast forward to the SDR days, I started working at Domio. I was an early employee at Domio, and I was the director of revenue. So that's where I got into revenue management, specifically for short-term rentals, right? So it was quite amazing to see this different world, because in short-term rentals the price tends to decrease as you get closer to the date, and in airlines the price tends to increase as you get closer to the date. So navigating, understanding those, that's kind of schedule, like I could call it, when is it gonna drop. It's very important, because at the end of the day, right, if a few people drop and then a few others drop, and you don't drop, semi drop, then it's likelihood that you're not gonna generate an OTA booking, which comes into play where you need a good direct booking strategy, right? You need to funnel people into your website, so that you can mitigate against that last minute discounting you're already booked far ahead. So it's a whole other topic right there.
Awesome. No, yeah. So we'll finish up on this topic, because I'm anxious to hear your story too on how you got started with short-term rentals. But before we go there, maybe you can drop a couple of nuggets because of your revenue management experience. It'd be interesting to know what integration tools you currently use to manage your 34 properties with pricing.
Yeah, I use Price Labs. I've been using Price Labs for a bunch of years now. Pretty good software. I've seen the other softwares out there. They're pretty good as well. At the end of the day, they're tools, right? Like a lot of people say, don't set it and forget it. You got to constantly revisit every couple of days, see what's going on. To pair with that, they got a good analytics kind of tab in there, but you should get your own dashboards. You could do that through Excel, Google Sheets, Google Data Studio. So we a combination between those analytics that we have created in house, and then Price Labs is kind of what we use. We also use data tools like AirDNA and Transparent to kind of see the market and see where they are. So, but those three would be the core of how we manage our revenue on a day-to-day basis.
Very cool. Yeah, we've been using Price Labs for the last couple of years as well. We started out with Wheelhouse, but you're right, they all do very similar things and similar functionality. But I think Price Labs has got the most robust data that's provided to kind of help you make decisions. So,
yep, yeah, absolutely. And
what I've seen
been with them since the beginning, because at the beginning it was the only software that had dynamic mint state adjustments. So an important part is of revenue management, and those mint state adjustments, you gotta have them automatically. So as booking comes in, those minimum nights get adjusted, right? So for example, not every people like last minute bookings, right? But we have found that if we drop to one night stay, a one minimum night stay, close in the last day or last 2 days, we've been getting increased bookings. From that, some people might argue that it's a little bit risky, all that stuff. We do put a premium right on those ADRs, so between 20 and 30, and that would depend by market. But it's been really nice to last minute just fill that gap, in there with a slight premium. So it's a good idea to obviously dynamically adjust your min stay. So that's an important nugget right there.
Cool. No, awesome. So you got your first property, you said 6 or 7 years ago?
Yeah, first property was in Nashville. Yeah, it was about 7 years ago. We sold it, a few years ago, and then moved down to Puerto Rico, and moved back down to Puerto Rico is when we started buying down here. So yeah, first was Nashville, and then we moved to buy in Puerto Rico.
And so the one in Nashville, was that a property that you owned and you started doing short-term rentals with, or was it a rental?
Yeah, no, that was a property that we owned, and we did short-term rental. Yeah, on it, it was like 10 minutes from downtown Nashville. Had a really nice view of the city and rooftop. It was a nice property. It was cash flowing really nicely. Nashville is a great market. So yeah, that was my first kind of sting into ownership in the SDR, world, and really liked it, and paid off really nicely. Had it for I think 2 to 3 years, then we sold it. So it was a good start.
And then once you got to Puerto Rico, what did you get started with there? From did you buy some property to start off, or did you do rental arbitrage?
No, we started buying. So we bought our first apartment. It's like 4 years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. Bought it. I came to see it. One morning, because I was living in New York at that time. Went and see it. Kind of made an offer right there. Got accepted. So that was the first one. From that point on, it's been kind of just repetitive. But yeah, that was 4 or 5 years ago. We did a complete rehab on that property, so it was a nice learning experience because we've never done a full rehab. Got down pretty much everything. So that was interesting. The time and money that goes into renovations and stuff. And sometimes in Puerto Rico it takes a little bit slower because people work a little bit slower than the States. Yeah, that was a nice, interesting experience. For the first time. We did a few times after that, so now it's getting repetitive. Like I said, and the good part, right, about doing the ownership, I guess, in this specific case, is because it was a beachfront property. So the closer you're to the beach, right, in theory, the higher revenue the property should produce, right, because you're marketing the location, and people that come to Puerto Rico, in our case, they want to go to the beach. So that's important. So that was a good first thing here, and then we just kept on going, and I grabbed along the way a few rent, a few manage, kept buying a few more, and so here we are, like three years now into it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And have you focused on a particular size of property, number of bedrooms? Are your properties kind of mostly near the beach, or are they kind of scattered around?
I mean, the good thing and it has not been, I guess it was by accident, is that we started acquiring either a bunch of apartments or condos in the same complexes, or really or small, like small buildings, like small to mid-sized building, nothing big, five apartments or less. So a lot of them are kind of clustered, and all of them are within, like, 5 miles, round from each other. So you can visit all them, and if you swing off a drive, it'll be like 10 to 20 minute drive. So that's been nice because everything is right there. Our office is really close by, so anything that might happen, we're able to jump really quick. So that's been by accident, and because it's been by accident, we learned that now we kind of concentrate in just like where can we create density. Where can we get at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, prop listings, apartments. So we concentrated mostly on apartments, for the most part, just
Mhm.
because San Juan, the beach area, it's mostly an apartment, type of area, and that's our target kind of demographic, right? Our guest avatar. A lot of people, talk about that, right? It's a woman between 25 and 55 years old from the East Coast of the United States, earns between 50 and 100K, and so that's our guest demographic. They come for a couple of days to Puerto Rico for the beach and stuff. So, and they look for this type of properties in this type of area. So that's why we concentrated on that specific property type on that specific area.
How has you been hit hard by the occupancy kind of decrease that we've all experienced over the last 10 months or so? How's it affected you guys down there?
Yeah, I mean, between that change in algorithm happened like a little over a year ago, and then the amount of supply that has come into the market, and short-term rentals in Puerto Rico have skyrocketed. Our occupancy, I gotta say, we have been able to maintain it. Just the ADRs have come down, a little bit, just because as supply goes up and there's revenue management, right? The price will come down, so you need to act accordingly so that can generate some occupancy. At the end of the day, if you don't have occupancy, you don't have any
Yeah.
revenue. Uh,
I
well,
think I think I think that's a valid point because what I've seen in the market for folks that aren't paying attention to revenue management, especially during the recession time and the time that has slowed down a little bit with travel, if they're not adjusting their pricing, weekly at a minimum, and if not daily, they're going to sit empty. And so, a lot of those folks that are dropping out or have dropped out just haven't. It goes back to revenue management, what we talked about in the beginning. That's such a key factor because if you don't make those adjustments, in your next 20-day window, you can be faced with very low occupancy or very high occupancy, and it's really a balancing act, to make sure that you maintain that. But yeah, that's a key piece of your intellectual operation to make sure you've got your finger on the pulse for that.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta have a good sense of that, and when you think it's time to adjust, you need to adjust. I think from my learnings, right, from can tell you how we do it. Every 2 to 3 days we adjust our rates. Obviously the
Hmm.
algorithm does its stuff and kind of changes within some bandwidth, right? But then, like, deeply, we go every 2 or 3 days, look at the data, look at the pacing, and then just readjust. Places where you need to drop, you drop. Places where you need to push up because you see demand going up, then you push it up and try to get a little more bank for the money.
Definitely, definitely. And so, as you've kind of grown, at what point did you start managing properties as well?
Think after property number 7, after property number 6, we started managing a little bit of property. Um, and yeah, we liked it because it's kind of risk free to a certain extent, right? It's just based on the commission, which is nice. So yeah, we got a couple clients that are friends. So we know we don't market ourselves and much in the property management side, since we're a small company, 9 of us. So we've been busy trying to get the properties that we already have to get them online. So um, So yeah, we take management clients. It's not been a big focus just because we need to finish the first work that we have ahead. Right now we got 28 properties that we need to get them live, because
So
they're not.
you've got properties in the pipeline that you haven't gone live with yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's
Okay.
been way too much, and obviously our team is small. We don't have enough people to kind of get them faster. So, which is a good thing to have, but also it's a bad thing because some of them start, there's mortgages to pay and stuff. So
So let's talk about your team. What kind of team does it take to run 34 plus properties? Yeah. What's your operational infrastructure look like?
so we got a hospitality team deals with pretty much all admin work and communications. We have an operations teammate. We got a housekeeping leader, four housekeepers, three people in facilities. So between those, it's like how we run this. Some people think it's much a bigger team, but
Mhm.
I've been blessed with having like people with superpowers behind me, and my team that they just do a lot of the stuff, do it really well. Personally, I'm not I don't micromanage. I like everybody to be their own CEO of their own thing. So if we help, please scream. We'll figure it out. If you don't, just take the decision and keep moving forward. So between those nine superheroes, we are able to operate and bring this property. So yeah, looking for more superheroes for sure.
That's awesome. And so are you doing your cleaning team in-house? So that's part of your company as well?
Yes, we do it in house. At this volume, which is still relatively small, right? 34 properties, but the amount of linen that you
Well,
go through and
there's a lot of revenue from that too on the cleaning side for 34 properties, right? So,
yeah, which I mean though there's a lot of revenue, but there's a lot of cost also that goes into it. I mean, we
mhm.
we use all white linen, for example, and if a linen has this stain, it's not gonna go. We're not gonna use it. So you can, just imagine how many, linen we have with a simple stain that they just get thrown to the side, so we can treat them, the stains and get them back to order. So yeah, it's definitely a good revenue source, but it also has some cost. What we found is that we bring it in house, like most operations, then you save a little bit of money, right? And you got more control over the situation at the end of the day, right? We're gonna make sure that we have the complete control of this of the booking of the atmosphere of the experience, you know, because we can, by doing that, we can hopefully deliver a good service, a better
Mhm.
service. So we brought that in house like maybe more than a year ago. It's been nice. It creates work, right? Admin work and stuff. But at the end of the day, you need a team to run this. If not, I mean, how in the world are you gonna do it? It's just impossible. Yeah. So
Yes.
it makes sense to bring them in house. We we try to take care of them. We give out some benefits that the other companies might not give. So because we want to build something for the long term. At the end of the day, we're going to have more properties, more people, and how we see this is also like a means to like just grow with a team for the long run. So it's been nice. It's been a good decision to bring them in house. I highly recommend it if you're going after volume. It is the way to go, just because then you can have more control over your cost.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And what about the maintenance team and handymen? Do you have that in-house as well, or do you kind of outsource that?
No, that's in house as well. So between our operations teammate takes care of a lot of daily maintenance, right, and facilities when we need to pull something from somebody from facilities to just to support us in something from the day to day, then we do that. If not, we're working on bringing those properties live, just getting them ready, uh, which is a big focus for us because we got a good backlog of properties that we need to bring up.
So let's talk about that. So you've got properties that are kind of in the process of going live. And are those properties you've acquired, or are they rental arbitrage combination?
There's a combination of all of them. I would say like about 40% is they're acquired.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those that are acquired, we're responsible for the mortgage, so we need to get them. We need to get them out the door.
And what's the typical onboarding process looking like as far as time? Is it 3 to 4 weeks from start to finish, or?
It really depends. We create an assigned project for that, and we then outline all the items that we need to do, paint, repaint or seal or whatever it is. And they vary. Some of them we've done it in as quickly as 2 weeks. Some of them have taken us 6 months.
So these are rehab projects. You're rehabbing them first, essentially, for the
yeah, there's
most
a
part.
right now most that we have, it's like small, really small rehabs. It's more of a paint job. It's not nothing too complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, they still need to get to work. Previously, they were not short-term rentals, so once you decide to convert them to short-term rentals, right, the design changes a little bit, right? Kind of rethink where all the outlets are going to go, and want to make sure then the outlets you have like USB chargers and that stuff. Make sure that next to the bed there's a plug so you can have a nightstand with chargers and stuff. So all those things that you kind of want to think, and because you want to people have to be comfortable, right, and be able to charge their phone near where they sit or sleep or whatever. Those things you need to think about. If those properties are not suited for that, don't have those things. I mean, it should be good idea to do them.
And then what about the bathrooms and kitchens? Are you doing any major changes there just because it is a short-term rental, or are you kind of just making sure it's updated a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Bedrooms and kitchens, they increase the value of your property, right? So, and we're a fan of showers, typical shower and a glass. It really looks nice in pictures and stuff. Uh, and it's easier to clean just because you don't need to be changing the curtain and all that stuff. So we try to do glass and showers, so you eliminate, right, the step from your traditional bath and stuff, just because some people might trip. So kind of saves you, kind of helps decrease the probability of a slip in the bathroom. So it's by property, right? If the property has a decent bathroom and we don't need to change it,
Yeah.
we won't change it. But it's something that, hey, it might be worth it. We do the math and you know it works out. Then yeah, of course we'll do it.
Okay. And you mentioned to me early before we got started that you guys are also looking at expanding into other areas. Are you? How far along are you with that, and kind of what's that looking like?
Yeah, we got a few properties. So right now we operate just in San Juan, but we have 3 properties outside of San Juan that we need to start working on them. It will be our first properties outside of our expertise domain, right? To be very honest with you, just because all of them are back here. So it's been interesting just trying to design, the processes, how this gonna work. Hiring, a local team, housekeeping person, and then a maintenance person that could respond, really quick to anything that might happen. Bring some more management right into, you gotta, be responsible for remote operation, keep the standards. So, very honest, we're learning through the process as well. We've seen it, how other people do it. Previously at Domio, right, where it was, we managed 1,300 properties all across the United States. So, I've seen it before, but it's different when you're trying to implement it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we went through that a few years back when we expanded down to the Tampa, Florida market. I mean, we've been in Georgia since the beginning, and most of our properties are in Georgia. And it's a 7 to 8 hour drive to get down to Tampa, Florida. And so, layering in those teams in the beginning, we've been fortunate that we're still with the same cleaning teams and the same maintenance teams that we started with, but it's all about that relationship and making sure you've got the key people there, boots on the ground, because honestly, we haven't had a need to go down there at all because we've got it set up correctly in the beginning. And so that's such a key part of it. And it took us, I don't know, a month or so in the beginning to make sure that we had the right pieces together for that to be able to step away from it. And so you're probably already finding out that that's such an important part that you got to really invest a lot of time up front to make sure that you get it right.
Yep. Yeah. Better to take your time and get it right than do a big mess and then do double work. But yeah, that'll be interesting. Obviously we got we live day by day, so we're working on today, May 18th. But we got ambitions to go out to Puerto Rico as well. Want to go back to Nashville, and we want to do the Dominican Republic next to us. So yeah, in due time, that will present its challenges. We'll hopefully learn throughout the way and see how we can make it happen.
All right, cool. So we had a quick question out on the comments in terms of what PMS or property management system that we're using. And so we use Guesty. We've used Guesty from the beginning, and there's a lot of different options out there. But we found that Guesty kind of gives us a nice functionality to be able to handle managing people's properties as well as our own. And so it has a good reporting tool for owner statements and things like that. And so I'm not sure what you've got in place for your management system.
Yeah, we use Hostfully. It's Hostfully, quite nice. I mean, I like it. We use the guidebooks that they offer as well. So yeah, Hostfully has been quite nice. If it's a software that if you want to grow, you can grow with it. I've used Guesty before. It's also a good software. So yeah, both are good. Both are good. Recommend.
Yeah, we also use Hostfully, but specifically for the guidebook. So I love the QR code feature where you can just have on your sign in the unit, they can just tap into that QR code and it gives them a digital guidebook. It's pretty slick. And so most of our higher end properties, we use that. It's pretty good.
Nice. Yep. Agree.
All right. So what are you looking for, growth over the next, I mean, you got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but, where do you see yourself, a year, 2 years out with this business?
Wow. Good question, Rich. I mean, I don't really know. We've been just think about the next property and the next property and the next property, in a few years. I mean, hopefully with twice, 3 times, 10 times the properties. I mean, we'll keep growing as the market bears, as our resources kind of allows us. We're not no hurry to, become really big, and we like to make profit at the end of the day. We're a small team, so that helps. Just going day by day. To be really honest, definitely the business will be different. In a couple of years will be much bigger. As we keep growing, it also facilitates you to acquire more property. So we concentrate on that acquisition of property just because we believe that it's a good investment thesis. If you invest in real estate in Puerto Rico and do short-term rentals, I think there's the cash flow aspect of it and the rental and the real estate appreciation. Trying to play both, right? And, nothing is guaranteed in life, but keep your fingers crossed. And history has shown that this kind of works. So we're trying to align with history.
That's awesome. So have there been any challenges on the regulatory front with where your properties are located?
Yeah, there's a bill in the Senate, the local Senate, local assembly, that it's gonna regulate, which we welcome that. I mean, right now, there's we gotta make sure that you send over your tax return for the room tax. That's 7% in Puerto Rico. You send it every month, and that's pretty much the only you get on a professional hostelero number, which is called. That you file the tax return. That's pretty much it. For the most part. So this bill kind of it's looking after parts of that bill. There's parts that are not that great, but parts of it is just looking for a new register. Of short-term rentals and given more formality around the system. So we're big fans of having sensible regulation that makes the industry more mature and more healthy, and it has a sustainable ground to keep growing. It's been growing a lot. There's like 17,000 short-term rentals in Puerto Rico, and I think it's good because most of these companies are small companies, which have a direct impact in the economy. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that we get regulated in a sensible way. Make sure that everything pays what the 7%. If there's a database of all these operators and the properties, all that stuff. So yeah, there's parts of the bill that they're not that great, which they gotta asking to convert a property to commercial, residential, which big mess because it has a lot of implications. And so but yeah, that bill's over there. Is standing over there. We're monitoring it. Not much on that regulation front, but we always welcome regulation just because it's healthy for the entire industry.
No, I agree. It's sometimes it can be a little challenging when they start out to be very restrictive, but we're having some success now in Atlanta, for example, where it's been a work in progress, but I think we finally got them to kind of loosen up some of the restrictions. So
yeah, that was pretty strict. The Atlanta thing, that was way too much.
Yeah, so we've literally the last couple of weeks been meeting, and they have agreed to remove the primary residency component, which is huge. Very nice. We're moving more towards a global cap. So there can't be any more than X% in the city at any given time, but they're open to a reasonable number, which gives still room for growth. So I think we're in a much better place now in Atlanta, and should get finalized here in the next couple of months, hopefully. So very cool. We'll see. Yeah. So we have another quick question. Someone would like to know how you find your properties.
I mean, I asked this question, last week. I think I just, find information. I mean, I'm always walking around looking at the properties or visiting the properties, and then I see the property next door, and then I drive by a property and kind of piques my interest. So I go and look for information. You got your traditional ways to, look for property online, but our biggest success has been just walking around, and people have told us about it, or we get interested. So it's been more of that type of thing versus online searching, all that stuff. We've done online searching. We found properties also that way, and it's a good way to do it both ways. Guys, those searching, that you got offline properties that people either not intending to sell, but if you make them an offer, they will. So those you need to knock on doors and talk to them.
Is there a different way that you find the arbitrage properties? Is that fairly easy to do in San Juan, or what's the process there?
We got very few. We got very few rental arbitrage. So I mean, we never actively search for them, to be really honest.
Sounds like you've kind of got them mostly on opportunistic referral type opportunities that present themselves.
Yeah. Those ones that we have, we got referred, and then we got them that way. But we're more concentrated on ownership or management. It's pretty much what we're trying to do, with more emphasis on the ownership, because we what I said about the investment thesis. But at the end of the day, right, you can scale much faster if you manage. Obviously, how many property with $1 million can you buy? Well, how many properties can you manage with $1 million? Right, that's the difference. So it's a combination of those three, and then more heavy on the ownership and management.
Got it. So listen, Juan, I appreciate your time today. This has been really good and productive. I look forward to seeing you hopefully next month at the next conference.
Yes.
And
all right.
And we can catch up then. But thanks again for spending time with us. And just as a reminder to everybody watching, B&B Investing Group also helps investors that want to learn the short-term rental business. And so if you have an interest in some of our programs that we put together for you, and to see if you're a good fit, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, and we can kind of schedule a call and go over some of those details. But Juan, thanks again. I appreciate the time, and we look forward to seeing you soon, buddy.
Thank you, Rich. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for jumping on the B&B Investing podcast this week. Please click on the subscribe and like button below. For more trainings, property tours, and content, you can join my B&B Investing Facebook group by clicking below. If you are ready to grow your short-term rental portfolio and maximize your monthly income, you can click on the link below to schedule a quick strategy call with Rich or someone from his team to see how we can help or point you in the right direction. Stay tuned for our next episode and hope to see you on the BNB Investing Group podcast.